one of my favorite records of all time. Arthur Rubinstein, 1963, playing Beethoven's sonatas. Three of them, the famous Moonlight Sonata, Les Adieux, which believe means goodbyes, and Pathétique, translates to pathetic. Absolutely not pathetic music, but this is a very special recording. It's RCA, 1963, mono recording with Arthur Rubinstein at his peak. Just a beautiful recording. I think for the first time on this channel, we're going to clean a record that's already been cleaned. When we show you the close-ups and the groove, I suspect we're not going to see a ton in there of debris, but it's a special recording. And the reason we want to highlight this is, as you will see, there's an extra step or two that we can take in the cleaning process, a manual step. It's quite time-consuming. I certainly wouldn't expect to do it on every record that I own. There's just not enough time in the day for that sort of thing. But this one meets all criteria. And I'd love to know what you fellas think about going this extra step. But when I consider it, I ask myself 5 questions. The first is it music I love? It's subjective, of course, but is it really music that I am passionate about? And similar to that, is it music that we will listen to critically? If not, you're not going to need this kind of cleaning step. But if the answer is yes to those first 2 questions, and then I would ask myself, well, is this a very good quality or audiophile quality recording? This one is, for sure. If it's a poor recording, cleaning it to this extent just wouldn't make sense. And then I ask myself, well, what's the condition of the record? Is it in at least very good condition? If there are scratches and gouges and so forth, it hardly makes sense to go to this extent to clean it. And then the last question is the music such that it will benefit from this level of cleaning that you're about to see? Meaning, are there quiet passages, long sustained notes? Absolutely the case with this particular record, but those are the sort of questions I ask. If the answer is yes to all those, then you've got a candidate for taking some extra time and doing a truly deep clean. As I mentioned, this has been cleaned before with a standard cleaning method, and it sounded lovely, but I pulled it out recently and was listening critically late at night with a glass of wine in hand, and I could still hear a few ticks during the quiet passages. And I so love this music, I thought, let's give this another clean. We're going to, as you'll see, we're going to pull out the Disc Doctor brushes. They're incredible brushes, but they really can only be used manually on a flat, hard surface. You can't use them on the top of a typical suction cleaning machine. So you'll see, it's quite an involved process. We can take a closer look, although I have absolutely seen this one before. This is, I don't know if this inner is from the era, but it's an RCA inner, probably the original, maybe not. And I do believe we have the original mono recording here. What do you think, fellas? You know more about this stuff than I do. Is this in fact the original pressing? Let us know in the comments below. Don't you just love Nipper? That's great. Yeah. And looking at it, this record, for as old as it is, it's just in incredible condition. No spindle wear, no scuff marks. It's just gorgeous. So again, really, really a good candidate for a truly deep clean. Oh, and the music's so wonderful. Let's get to it. I can't wait. Let's clean this record. Interesting thing about Disc Doctor is not so much the cleaning fluid. It's good cleaning fluid, but it's the brushes. It's these brushes, one for the cleaning fluid, one for the wet rinse, for the clean water rinse. These are very unique brushes. Some may say they look a bit, and they do look a bit, like the MoFi brushes, kind of similar in shape and design, but the bristles, the application, the way that these work are unique in the brush cleaning world. I would argue these are the finest brushes for getting deep into the groove. You really can't use them on a record cleaning machine. They have to be on a flat surface. So I just wanted to point that out first and foremost. So here's the process that we're going to go through. The first thing we're going to do is get the record wet. And I'm going to do that with the ultrasonic machine. Turn off the drying cycle, just let it go a minute or two through the ultrasonic cycle so it kind of loosens up any dirt that isn't deep into the groove. And we'll take it out wet. You have to be very careful when you do that because you don't want water to drip inside the mechanism. So we'll take it out wet, we'll set it on this nice flat surface. I have a microfiber cloth down so we don't damage the record. And then we'll apply the disc doctors, and I'll show you how the process works with these brushes. It's kind of unique. It can be a fully manual process where you take the brush, apply it, and then try to kind of scoop up the sudsy record cleaning fluid. If you don't have a record cleaning machine, it'll work that way. We do, so what we'll do is apply the record cleaning fluid, work up a nice lather, and then put it onto the platter and use the machine to suck that up. Same thing for the water rinse. So get it wet, use the brushes, very unique brushes in the way they're intended. With this record cleaning fluid, with a nice clear rinse, I think we're using the IBS, we are, and we'll remove both from both sides of the record with the suction machine. And then we'll finish it off with a full ultrasonic treatment, both the ultrasonic machine and the drying. And that should get absolutely every bit of crud out of that groove. Let's get to it. First thing we're going to do is turn off the drying time. Let's just do 1 minute. That'll be plenty to get the surface wet and knock off any bits that have clung on there recently. You do have to be careful taking that out. You don't want to get water into the mechanism. So you can take that out, lay it down flat, and begin the disc doctor process. By the way, this little cup comes with a disc doctor, and I use it for all the time. It's got a nice little rounded edge that's just perfect for brushes. So we got it a little wet. We'll now apply directly to the brush the record cleaning formula. And then what you want to do is use your non-dominant hand to hold it still and begin to move it around the record. The first thing you'll notice, this is really what makes these brushes unique, is the way in which it kind of grabs on. These little fibers really get deep. At this point I'm barely applying any pressure. And unlike the types of brushes that can be used while the record is on the record cleaning machine, you can really put some pressure on this. As long as you're on a nice flat surface, you're not going to damage anything. It's quite amazing how it just grabs and really gets down in the groove. All manual, so just move around as you see fit. And there's no reason, by the way, this is how you just kind of get the excess up. Put it on its side, spin it around. And I like to apply a few applications. Clean it off of the dirt that you picked up there. Apply some more fluid and have another go. Generally, you want to pick about a section that's about a third of the record surface and work it back and forth, maybe a fourth. You don't want to get that too wet. So we'll go ahead and put that down now. Back it down. Now before I just go sucking it off there, I like to go ahead and put some additional record cleaning fluid on. And for this process, use a more traditional brush, and you kind of do just as you would with any record. Notice the bubbles are bigger. That's the nature of the brush. You don't have to go too crazy here. We just want to get whatever dirt was dislodged up into that sudsy goodness, and then suck it right off. Put it right back down. And now we'll use the exact same design, this Dr. brush. Let's make sure it's clean, hasn't been used in a little while. Also put some of the ultra pure water right onto the disc, that's fine. And it's the same process. Quarter to a third of the record, back and forth. Such a unique feel, really grabs a hold. Just like I did with the record clean fluid, I like to give it a rinse and then another application of nice ultra pure water. And then we'll put it back on the machine, insert the wand and column dedicated to clean water rinses, and suck off this water. We'll repeat on the other side, same process, and then finish off with a full ultrasonic cycle and drying cycle. Okay, I think that's about it. Take off any excess. Excellent. Give that a quick clean. Back onto the suction machine. You know, every once in a while, you should check how the wand fits into your column. You don't want them at a 90-degree angle. It needs to be just tilted one way or the other. That allows the liquid to enter into the tube. Okay, here we go. We have our Osage brush dedicated for water. And there's no reason you can't put a little more water on there to help things along. Spread it around a bit, and then go ahead and suck it off. Okay. Now before I put the attack the other side, I like to take the surface that I've just worked on. It's going to be a tiny bit contaminated there, and you can see some water ring there, so either get a new one or shake it out and just flip it over, which is what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, now before we start, we'll give it another quick blast there in case anything grabbed on from the platter on the DPI machine. Now, we'll go through the same process. Let's make sure this is nice and clean. This comes in a much, much larger bottle, but they make available these smaller bottles, which is a little more convenient when you're actually working with them. I kind of like to first spread it around a bit. There we go. And keep it nice and steady and go to town. Look at that. See that? Isn't that just incredible how it grabs it? Really amazing brushes. I had the opportunity to meet the good doctor and chat with him before he retired. I'm believe he sold the rights to his brushes and record cleaning equipment to the folks at Acoustic Sounds. So that's where you can get these products. Okay, that's good for a first once around. Clean off the brush. Don't be stingy with the water. Get it off good. And by the way, they do sell replacement brushes. You just peel them off. They have a sticky back surface. They will wear down over time. Okay, here we go for the second and final scrubbing. Oh, that's good. Go ahead and put some pressure on it. You don't want to smash the bristles down into the groove, but you definitely apply more pressure than you typically would with the type of brushes you would use while the record is on a suction cleaning machine. This is a more aggressive approach, no doubt. One more time around. Wand and column you have dedicated to record cleaning fluid, that's what you want to use. No harm in adding some more record cleaning fluid, agitating a bit with the brush of your choice. You might have noticed that I frequently switch directions when engaging the machine, and if you're fortunate enough to have a record cleaning machine that goes both ways, you want to take advantage of that. Okay, now preparing the Disc Doctor brush dedicated to water, which I've marked H2O. See how that works? Go ahead and get the water right there. And same process as before. We're going through all this so that when we hear those ultra quiet passages, long sustained notes, hear everything without any pops and clicks, particles that have been in on this record for 60 plus years now. They can be difficult to remove. And in my experience, a combination of suction machine, ultrasonic, and Disc Doctor is the best way. Imagine doing this with every record. You'd be doing nothing but cleaning records. You want some time to listen to them too, right? Give this a rinse. Oh, that feels good. Looks good. I'll let you know how it sounds soon. Back on the machine. Grab your water wand. A bit more water, just to kind of help with the process. Spread it around nicely. And here we go. Before I take that off, we'll prepare the ultrasonic machine for a full cycle. I'll go back up to 4 and we'll go ahead and engage the drying cycle. 4 minutes is a good place to start. I seem obsessive about the use of the Giotto blaster I am. Now that just came off of that's clean, but we set this side down on the platter, so we could have picked up a few pieces of debris here and there. The idea is to make the record as clean as possible between each step. Okay, everything's ready to go. Here we go, Nipper, hang on. Well, if we did this right, this should be about the cleanest record from 1963 or whatever it was that we can possibly get. Let's go have a listen. Final thoughts. Arthur Rubinstein playing Beethoven's Sonatas. Musically, it just doesn't get any better than this in my opinion. Definitely one of my favorite records. It's he gets the pace right and just ekes every bit of emotion out of each and every note. It's just glorious in that regard. Sound-wise, this is a full-on audiophile recording. I remember once years ago, I was chatting with a dear friend of mine, a fellow audiophile, who wasn't so into mono recordings and was just sure that all things stereo were better. And so I kind of fooled him a little bit. I said, okay, I relent. I'll play one of my favorite Beethoven records for you. And played this, and he was just sure that it was in stereo. And of course, it is not. This has the depth and the width of what you would hear in real life. Just fabulous in that regard. So, how did we do with this extra deep cleaning process? Keep in mind that I've owned this for several years and cleaned it with a VPI machine years ago. It did a pretty good job. But as I mentioned, there's so many beautifully quiet moments in this recording that I wanted to get as deep as I could. So we went through the disc doctor process. You saw that. You saw the close-ups of what's left in the groove. We gave it another listen, and it was absolutely improved over the previous steps, no doubt about it. But you know what? I could still hear a few tiny ticks and pops here and there. So what I did was let it play through, let the needle drag through the groove one more time, and put it back into the ultrasonic yet again. And it improved even more. Is it perfect? Of course not. Nothing is. But that process is the best that we can do. And of course, we won't do it on all records. It would be a crazy amount of time. But for something like this, it was worth it. Great recording. Great job, if I do say so, on getting it as clean as we can. Let's go to the next record. Look at that. See that?